Good afternoon, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to another edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E. I am, of course, KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. As always, thank you to my man AJ Jones for giving me this platform to speak with you and share my opinions on sports, mainly hoops. You're watching the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Fire TV, Musk, and of course on Roku via BS3 TV. If you have your Roku streaming device, simply download BS3 TV. If not, you can just go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. I'm going to get right into this. Thank you very much. Salute to you as well. Don't get mad. Appreciate it for chiming in your comments. Just got through with head coach Kelvin Sampson, had his media Zoom call with us before the Cougars men's team, of course, heads to Norman, Oklahoma for a Saturday evening matchup against the Sooners. I encourage you to watch it once UH Athletics posted on their YouTube channel. It's the first time Coach Sampson will face Oklahoma as the opponent. First time Coach will be in Norman as the opponent. He was head coach there for 12 years. Kellen Sampson, his son, Lauren Sampson's daughter, grew up in Norman from elementary through high school, college, graduated from Norman, from OU. So it's a special place to Coach Sampson, his family. We hardly touched on the Sooners as a team, this current team who the Cougars will play and face this Saturday. We asked Coach to reflect on his time in Norman and some of the people his friends who have passed away since he was in Norman. And there were times in there during the press conference, Coach got emotional. He teared up. So watch it because he was recalling one player in particular, Ryan Miner. Ryan passed away. Ryan was a bad, bad man. Well, he was a hell of a player, baseball and basketball. And Coach was telling us some stories about Ryan Miner, and he got emotional. And he paused, and we could all see him tearing up. So I hope UH keeps that in and then does not edit it out, so you can see how close Coach is with his friends and players. And some of them as it's part of life. Friends and family, pass away, and you remember them. You have fond memories of them. So I do encourage everyone to watch Coach Sampson's today's. It's going to be called maybe Previews Oklahoma. Like I said, I didn't ask about the Sooners team, so if I don't ask about the opponent, it doesn't really get asked. So, but truly, watch it, and you'll get a better idea if you haven't already, a sense of who Coach Kelvin Sampson is as a person, and not just as a head coach. So it's just let me say hi to everybody. Tony M, thank you very much for chiming in. Big Thrillo, thank you as well. Appreciate you for watching. The queen of the Houston Roundball Review for her support, Miss Wanda Polk, the TV star. Rex 32, thank you as well for chiming in. It's a storyline. I don't know how if ESPN. Well, I guess they didn't really plan it big because it's on ESPN2, not the mothership. But 7 o'clock this Saturday, Cougs number one in the net. That's what I care about. They're now number one in the AP poll, which the marketing department and more fans care about. Cougs been number one in the net for almost the entire season. But anyway, Cougs at Sooners this Saturday, 7 o'clock Central Time. Mr. Gibson on ESPN2. I, on the other hand, will be at Fertitta Center for senior night for the Houston Cougars women's basketball team. Some of the players, like Layla Blair, who I've known since she was a freshman. The Cougars women's team will play UCF. No idea why they scheduled both games at the same time. There's not going to be anybody at the women's game except friends and family of the players and me in media and the staff. Everyone else is going to be watching the game the men's game on TV. But that's what they did. Scheduled it, senior night, 7 o'clock, Houston versus UCF. Miss Wanda, get ready. Get ready. Because last home game for women's team. Women's team is now 13-15 after last night's road loss at BYU. They're now 4-13 in the Big 12 Conference this season. 4-13. That guarantees that they'll be playing on day one of the Big 12 Women's Basketball Championship. That starts next Friday. At 13-15, even if they win Saturday against UCF, they'll be 14-15. Barring some miracle, Tony, Thrillo, Miss Wanda, Rex, barring some miracle, Houston women's team will finish the season with a losing record. Even if they win Saturday against UCF, that makes them 14-15. If they win their first round game in the Big 12 tournament, which is kind of iffy, but it seeds 11 through 14. Even if they do that, that's 15-15. Day two, they're going to lose. So they'll be under 500. They're not winning more than one game in the Big 12 championship, barring some miracle. Okay, let's just be real. Which brings me to a losing record for Ronald Hughey. Again, 10 seasons as head coach at Houston. Record of 134 and 169. That's basically 13 wins, 17 losses every season. 10 seasons. 10 seasons. I wish I had a larger platform and audience and had millions of followers and everything where I could have the hashtag 10 seasons go viral. What's it going to take? Chris Pesman, Tillman Fertitta, President Couture, Dwana Chiser. What is it going to take? 10 seasons of no trips to the NCAA tournament. I heard a few days ago that apparently, you'll love this, Miss Wanda. Apparently, Houston was contemplating accepting, if they got one, which now I think with an under 500 record, they won't get it. But if they got one, accepting a bid to the WNIT. Let me say, the WNIT this season going forward is now third in the pecking order for women's postseason play. Behind, obviously, the NCAA tournament, the brand new WBIT, sponsored by the NCAA, and then the WNIT. Why would you even consider accepting a bid to now the third tiered postseason tournament if you, according to your own words, want to compete for championships and the NCAA is the standard? What in the hell? And if you think you're not saying this. You're not saying this at all. You don't know what you're saying, Chris. Okay, folks new to this, missed it on FTS with me and Willie Gibson last Sunday. Here are comments from head coach Ronald Hughey last March, after losing to ECU in the championship game of the American Athletic Conference. Coach Hughey's own words.
We got a bunch of emails from, other tournaments and things like that, but, it's time to set a standard for NCAAs around here. And that's the thing that we are get together as a team and talk about and being able to make some headway that way. Again, the standard that we've set, again, finishing in the top last 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 years, and getting so close, and 20 wins and 18 wins and, Sweet 16s and WNITs and all that's just coming up short. Again, we sit down together as a group and be able to make a decision with that, because again, their word is just as important as mine. It's been
It's time to set the standard, the NCAA as the standard. He said that. Chris Pesman, who's the AD, who I still haven't seen at women's game all year. President Couture, DeWanda Chiser, the senior women's administrator. Tillman Fertitta, who Tillman, I'm not sure he even knows women's basketball exists at Houston. It's time to set the NCAA as the standard. Yet, supposedly, they're considering going to the now third-tiered postseason tournament of the WNIT with a losing record. I'm fired up. Miss Wanda says this: I am glad the women's basketball season is coming to an end. Before I joined Coach Sampson's media call today, I got a call from one of the Houston women's basketball alums. I keep in touch with a few of the players who I've covered at UH women's basketball going on 25 years. This woman was upset at what she saw last night in Houston's loss at BYU. It's unacceptable, Chris. It's horrible, Chris. What the hell are we doing? What can I do? What can we do? It's time for a change. These are women's basketball alums now who are fed up and tired of this Coach Huey tenure at Houston. Chris Pesman, DeWanda Chiser, Rena Couture, Tillman Fertitta. And I hope folks are tuning in on YouTube. Tell your friends. I'm going off. I'm speaking facts. 10 years. 10 years. No trips to the NCAA tournament. Yeah, the 1 year, COVID year, it might have gone. They had one chance, a good chance to go. You know what they did? With the chance to wrap up a spot in the tournament, and when they ended up being the 65th team, so this was before the women's tournament added 4 teams to make 68 like the men, they lost on senior night to the worst team in the conference at the time. So I just, this is not personal. Coach Shu is a good man. But if your job, if the goal that the administration has said is to compete for championships, 10 seasons, 0 trips to the NCAA tournament, 0 conference championships, regular season, postseason, take your pick. What is Houston doing? And truly, Rex makes a good point. With the recent rise of women's basketball, popularity, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Juju Watkins, freshman at USC, Madison Booker, freshman at Texas, Hannah Doggo, freshman at Notre Dame. Start caring about women's basketball at Houston. Here's the issue, though, Rex. We should start taking a look at assistants on LSU, South Carolina, Texas to bring here. There lies the rub, though, Rex. Because if the administration does not care about women's hoops, they're not going to spend the money to invest and do what it takes to get a top assistant at a major program. That's the issue. That's the conundrum. Hell, Coach Huey has not been let go yet because they're trying to figure out the money. What is there to figure out? What is there to figure out? Ms. Wanda has asked a good question. are the alums, and I'm assuming she's talking about the women's basketball players, reaching out to president and the administration. Not as much as I would like them to, not as much as I encourage them to, because I'm just one little voice in the wind. They played there. I just cover them there. They have more say. More folks know them than people know me. Their words would carry more weight than just my one little voice. Hopefully, it changes with this season, his first year in the Big 12. And even if Houston does the right thing and makes a change, next year's going to be hard for the new head coach because of Utah coming to the conference, Arizona coming into the conference, Colorado coming into the conference. That's why I said, Willie Gibson said, Andy Yanez said, James Mueller said, we all said Houston should have made a change before joining the Big 12. Give the new coach the first year in the Big 12 for growing pains, recruiting. Fans, little fans there are of UH women's hoops, would understand it if they saw hope and potential for year 2, 3, and 4 in the Big 12. Now, if Houston makes a change, because I'm not convinced they will, even though they should, if Houston makes a change, the new head coach, the program is going to start over. As Willie Gibson says sometimes, hustling backwards. That's what Houston is doing, hustling backwards. These skills, but the coach was good in that one video with the president that one year. And that might have been the last time President Couture even realized women's basketball was at Houston. Tony says, sad performance as a coach, I would resign. These skills again, the pair strategy of keeping continuity of crap was a bad one. It is a bad one. Again, 10 years. And Houston does not have to look very far for a simple comparison of a head coach who's been around the same 10 years on campus. Head coach Kelvin Sampson in men's basketball. What he's done in 10 years is damn near a miracle to resurrect Houston Cougars men's basketball. 10 years. One has, I think, for a point now, everything is, the expectations for men's success is high level. But early on, you could say Coach Sampson was overachieving. Coach Huey hasn't even achieved because he's not gotten the women's team to one NCAA tournament in his 10 years. Tony adds, school is paying for a babysitter at this point. And this year's current roster for women's hoops has one freshman. One. Kiki Merchant. She's talented. One freshman. She's thin, slim, not physically ready for the Big 12. But one freshman on this team. So this team is full of veterans, full of transfers. And they're 4-13 in the Big 12. And I did not have high expectations for this year's team because it's the first year in the Big 12. I think the other newcomers, UCF is, I think, 3-14. Cincinnati maybe 5-12, and BYU is 6-11. So all the newcomers have struggled as expected. But those programs are not in year 10 with their head coach like Houston is. And again, I say, I will be there Saturday for senior night. Post game, most likely, I'll be the only media in the room. So I'll get to ask questions to Coach Atia Messer from UCF, as well as Coach Huey in separate press conferences. And the answer to one of the questions might be different, but I am planning to ask both head coaches what is their opinion of their first year in the Big 12, how they think they did in their first year in the Big 12. Did they exceed their expectations that they set for themselves and the program, their respective program? 10 years. 10 years. The standard is the NCAA tournament. Huh. All right. Shifting gears real quick. Coach Willie Fritz, head coach Willie Fritz, is doing something, having a spring game. Announced the date. Saturday, April 13th. Houston Cougars football. Due to ongoing football operations center construction inside and surrounding TDECU Stadium, the spring game will be held at the Carl Lewis International Complex, home of Houston soccer and track and field. Admission is free. Free. You need to get a song bite of that. Free. Additional parking and gate entrance information will be available as the event draws closer. And the last line, so I also smile about, grin about. The game, the spring game, will also be broadcast on Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus. One more time. The game, the spring game, will also be broadcast on Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus. Rex 32, finally a spring game. And he adds, and broadcast by ESPN Plus. Wow. Yes. When I read that yesterday in the press release, I was happy. One more time. So kudos to Coach Fritz for having a spring game, April 13th. Looking forward to it. Admission is free. I'll post that slide again later on in the show. But as we do, if new to the lunch break, the Houston Roundball Review takeover of the lunch break here on Throwback Thursday. I talk hoops, but also talk football. You know, a little bit of everything here on this show. So, but women's basketball, I wanted to lead off with it because of the frustration now with that I'm hearing from women's basketball players. And they're just, I just don't know what to say about all that stuff. But they're frustrated. And hopefully they will start voicing their concerns with the Houston administration. Because that's what it's going to take. That's where it needs to start. Because after all, the Hueys will be playing next Thursday. I got it wrong. Next Thursday, in the first round of the Big 12 Women's Basketball Championship. So probably a 13 or 14 seed. Yeah. And depending on the matchup, and oddly enough, Texas Tech is one of those right now, 11, 12, 13, or 14 seed. Tech beat Houston this season. UCF beat Houston on the road in Orlando this season. Cincinnati, I think, is the only team that Houston beat in that potential 11 through 14 seeds. So the Cougs, based on the opponent matchup, might even lose on the first day. Next Thursday, March 7th. Think about that. But you see the schedule there First round, second round takes place March 8th. Winners of games 1 and 2. Winner of game 1 faces the 5th seed. Winner of game 2 faces the 6th seed. 8 versus 9, 7 versus 10. And also, the women's championship, Big 12, just like the men's, will take place in Kansas City at T-Mobile. Was this T-Mobile Center? T-Mobile Arena. So if you got time, you got the money, got the funds, and you love hoops, you could be in Kansas City watching Big 12 women's hoops first on March 7th, and Big 12 men's basketball championship on March 13th. But all of that, March 7th through March 16th. March 16th is the date for the men's championship game. And there's a chance that the Houston Cougars men's team could be in that. Who knows? Schedule for the men's Big 12 championship. MC King, how you doing? Salute to you. Thank you for chiming in. Men's team, I'm 99% sure of this, has already clinched a top 4 seed. So in other words, a double bye. So they're not playing on day 1 in the first round on March 12th. They won't play Wednesday in the second round on March 13th. So the men's team, first game will be in the quarterfinals. Thursday, March 14th, my birthday. I will turn 52. Yes, 5-2, 52. And then you see the time slots for the games on Thursday in the quarterfinals, based on what seed the Cougs are. Currently, of course, they're in first place. If they hold on to the top spot, number 1 seed, they'll play at 2:00 Central Time against the winner of Game 4. And go back to previous slide. Winner of Game 4 is the 8 versus 9 matchup. If they're a 2 seed, they'll play at 6 evening session versus the winner of Game 5. Winner of Game 5, 7 versus 10 seed. But you see the schedule there, the time slots: 11:30, 2:00, 6:00, 8:30 for the quarterfinals on March 14th. Semifinals Friday, March 15th, 6:00 and 8:30, and then the championship game Saturday, March 16th, 5:00. And I think that one's going to be on ESPN. Semis might be on ESPN2 or ESPN. But there is the schedule. I wanted to put it up there. I think I mentioned it last Thursday on last Thursday's show. So there it is. But looking forward to it. May or may not be able to go. Right now, it doesn't look like I'll be able to go. Funds are here on plumbing repairs that have taken almost 2 weeks. So life happens. Men's basketball. Remaining schedule. Houston Cougars men's team 25-3 overall, 12-3 in Big 12 first place, 1 game ahead of Iowa State. Cyclones 11-4. Look at this. Miss Wanda, notice this. Miss Wanda, MC King, Rex, D Skills. Last Thursday's show, the Cougs had 10, there's a number again, 10 Q1 wins. And only 3 or 4 Q2s. I know this, they had 3 Q2s and they had 5 Q3s. Well, based on what the other teams in the Big 12 have done since last week, those 3 of those 10 Q1s became Q2s as Texas Tech lost, got routed. I think Texas lost 2 or 3 in a row as UCF began to struggle and lost. So Q1 wins. The net changes daily based on what your opponents do and what your opponents of your opponents do. It doesn't really matter, especially at this point in the season. You add it all up, Cougs have 14 total Q1 and Q2 victories. That's still one of the top in men's hoops. Kansas State at one point had fallen back to Q3 status, and now they've moved up to Q2. So that's why Cougs have gone from 5 Q3s to 4 Q3s. Take this 90-second break as I remind everybody and show everyone what BS3 TV is all about. It's the bottom of the hour on the Houston Roundball Review takeover of the lunch break. This edition of Throwback Thursday. I am KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Be back in 90 seconds. Y'all take care.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review takeover of the lunch break. Throwback Thursday, powered by JM&E. I am KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. The show is streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Houston Roundball Review. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell so you can receive notifications of new shows. But also on Musk, Fire TV, Twitch, and of course, Roku via the BS3 Network, BS3 TV. If you have a Roku streaming device, simply download BS3 TV. If you don't, that's on you. But if you don't, you're missing out on great content. You can just go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. Before the break, talking about Big 12 men's basketball and how it impacted the net, how the Houston Cougars net Q1 wins went from 10 to 7 because of losses, I think, to Texas Tech. Who else was it? Maybe Cincinnati, TCU, whatever. They went from Q1 to Q2. And in fact, let me show the frame schedule slots for that, the quadrants. NET stands for the NCAA evaluation tool. Quad 1 is for your opponents, rankings of your opponents. Home victory over an opponent ranked 1 to 30 is Q1. Neutral site, those MTEs, early season non-conference tournaments, beat somebody ranked 1 to 50, Q1. Road win, 1 to 75, Q1. Q2, home opponent ranked 31 to 75. Neutral site, 51 to 100. Road, 76 to 135. Q3, opponent home games, beat them at home, 76 to 160. Neutral site, 101 to 200. Away, 136 to 240. And then Q4, which is nobody in Big 12 this season. Home, 161 to 362. Neutral site, 201 to 362. And road, 241 to 362. Rex asked this question. What is the pathway for UH to seal a Big 12 regular season championship outside of winning out, of course? Well, that's the obvious one. Cougs win the last 3 games. Iowa State can't catch them. Iowa State is 1 game behind. So its combination should be 2, I think. No. Mad numbers are 3, 4, maybe 4. If Iowa State loses, because the tiebreaker, but they've faced each other twice and each won at home. So you have to go to the next tier for tiebreakers. And whoever finishes third, based on whoever that is, head to head, that'll play a factor into it. But simply, I think it will be 2. If Iowa State loses twice, Houston wins twice, it's done. That takes out the tiebreaker because Cougs would be ahead of them 3 games, only 1 left. It's one simple way to do it. Because of the head-to-head, you got to move down the line for tiebreaker scenarios. So simply, Cougs win the last 3 games, they're going to be in. If Iowa State loses the last 3 games, Cougs win the regular season championship. That's the simple math to do it. Iowa State, their closing schedule is a little bit easier, but it's life in the Big 12. Cougs at Oklahoma this Saturday, and then at UCF next Wednesday, and then Senior Day, March 9th, 3 o'clock on ESPN against Kansas. Kansas coming off a home loss to BYU, the other Cougars in the Big 12. Jayhawks without Kevin McCullough again. Jayhawks made only 3 3-pointers in the game against BYU. BYU made 13. BYU trailed, I think, at one point in the game by 12. And he ended up winning by, 8? Injuries play a part. Next man up is nice. It sounds good. Easy to say. But losing Kevin McCullough is losing an All-American. It's hard to replace an All-American if you don't have an All-American on the bench. Let's be real. Cougs, I think ESPN, I haven't read the article yet. There's an article at ESPN website asking for coaches' opinions, maybe writers, their thoughts on the Cougars' chances to win it all this season. Would be better if they were healthier. If Terrence Arsenault and Ramon Walker were not injured and lost for the season. Cougs have, their rotation right now is 8. And 7.5, really. Because freshman big man JoJo Tugler has a sprained right ankle. Not sure how severe it is. But Coach Sampson said today in his Zoom session that there is a chance that said lot will see more minutes these next few games, depending on how serious JoJo's ankle injury is. So they're trying to figure out how to incorporate Sid into the rotation more and actually keeping JoJo healthy. Has not been announced if JoJo is going to miss Saturday's game, if he can play through the pain, miss a week, anything of that sort. But based on how serious his ankle injury is, will determine the rest needed for him, rest and recovery, and how many minutes Big Sid will get. Another thing Coach Sampson mentioned, his entire starting 5, Jamal Shedd, LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, Juwan Roberts, and J.V. Francis, all 5 of them were in the training room Wednesday, getting treatment, receiving treatment for aches and pains. The entire starting 5. Nothing so bad that they won't play Saturday, but at this point of the season, everybody's banged up. But the Cougs' entire starting 5 was in the training room with the shaman, I call it, John Houston, Houston's trainer, Houston's medicine man, the shaman. Hopefully he can do wonders and get them healthy. Dre with the Rockets question. I don't know what these are who said this. Jalen Green, Anthony Edwards potential. Chime in. Dre, this evening, most likely tonight, I'm going to do a Let's Talk Houston Rockets show probably after the Rockets Suns game. Rockets are now 25-32. Got the Suns Thursday and Saturday. They're playing, I think the Rockets are now, 5.5 games out of the 10th spot in the West. So the plan is further and further away. And so is finishing at 500 or better, further and further away. Dre asked the question, will Jalen Green ever get to Anthony Edwards' Ant-Man's level? And is 22 years old like Jalen and averaging 26, 5, and 5. Ever is hard to say. Jalen has the potential to do that. Sure. I'm not sure he's got the right mindset for it right now. I'm not sure if he's got the right physical strength to do it. Because body type wise, he's not Ant. That's obvious. And it may not be here if Jalen Green ever gets to that potential, that level of Ant. It might not be as a Houston Rocket. We'll discuss that and more probably tonight, late night, on the Let's Talk Houston Rockets live stream show presented by Byron Riley, CPA. Last time Byron for this month sponsors. That's the thing. I'm not sure you can add weight. If you can't add weight, he's got to get stronger. And then if he gets stronger, we want to make sure what weight he does add, it does not reduce his quickness and his explosiveness. So there's a balance. But one thing he's got to do is change his mindset, mentality. His performance on the road, he's not consistent enough. So that's a problem. Rex says, I don't know if Jalen has that dog in him like Ant. That's a fair assessment. Many folks wonder that. We'll see. It's on him to maximize his potential. It's up to him. Back to Big 12 hoops, men's hoops. Air rankings through yesterday, February 28th. Houston won. Like I said, been won pretty much all season. Iowa State 8. BYU 10 after their road win in the fog at Allen Fieldhouse. Baylor had bounced back after their overtime loss to Houston last Saturday, but it was a great game. Great game there. Kansas 17, Texas 34. Longhorns have bounced back from their loss to Houston here in Houston. That's some big wins. TCU 38, Oklahoma 42. Texas Tech going in the wrong direction. They were in the 30s, I think late 20s at one point. Now they're 43. Cincinnati has lost 4 of 5 or 5 of 6. 5-10 in the Big 12. Net of 45. UCF has a better record in the Big 12 than Cincinnati. But the net is worse because their non-conference was worse. Same in Kansas State. Their non-conference was worse. Not as strong. K-State at 74. K-State, I think, is a bubble team. Oklahoma State ranked 114 in the net. 4-11 in the Big 12. West Virginia, 144. Had a chance. We're down 25. 25 against K-State. Up 3 with a minute to go Monday in Manhattan and lost in overtime. That loss would have doomed the Wildcats' chances at a large bid. But Coach Chang and his team pulled it out. I think Coach Chang at K-State is like 12-0 in overtime. 12-0 in overtime and barely above 500 in regulation. That's a quirk. One of those strange things right there. Kenny with this comment back about the Rockets and Jalen Green. Green was supposed to be the next great young shooting guard of the NBA with Ant. Green isn't living up to it, though, for some reason. The head coach change hasn't helped. He had much more freedom under Stephen Silas than he does under Ime Udoka. But it's on Jalen Green to get better on both ends of the floor. and help the Rockets win games. Do what it takes to win games, whatever that involves. Being a better passer, being a better facilitator, rebounder, defender, take better shots, all of that. It's up to him. I did not see it. I heard about it. What happened between the Longhorns and the Red Raiders? Fans tossing stuff on the court, onto the court. I mean, come on, because of a hard foul, flagrant foul. Be better, people. Be better. And Coach McCaslin asking the fans to stop throwing things on the court, because every time fans throw things onto the court, Texas Tech received a technical foul on them for that, unsportsmanlike conduct. Life in the Big 12, rivalries, and that'll be gone once the Horns and Sooners head to the SEC next season. Schedule this weekend. Men's hoops, all Big 12 games on Saturday. High noon, ABC, Kansas at Baylor. Jacoby Walter, probably lottery pick for Baylor. One and done. Talented freshman. Gave Houston the business last Saturday. Should be a good matchup. Looking forward to that one. Then on ESPN2, Oklahoma State at Texas. Cowboys 4-11 in conference play. Longhorns 7-8. Iowa State. If you're a Coug fan, Rex, root for UCF to pull off. Well, I'll Coach Sampson when I say it's an upset. If UCF wins at home over Iowa State this Saturday, 3 o'clock, Big 12 Now on ESPN+. Texas Tech on the road against West Virginia, 5 o'clock on ESPN2. K-State at Cincinnati, Fifth Third Arena. The Bearcats need a win. They just have not been able to get over the hump. They battled the Cougs, came back, got within 6, but just could not seal the deal Tuesday against Houston. They're close, but not quite there. And of course, Houston at Oklahoma, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. And then 8 o'clock on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. TCU at BYU. Both teams 8-7 in Big 12 play. Appreciate that. I'm about to lead into that. Thank you very much for mentioning this. C837. If you have not seen, watched, listened to, because it's also available on the audio platforms, Spotify, iTunes, etc. My interview with Dan Friel, the co-founder of TBT. TBT, the basketball tournament. Check it out. It's posted. Video is posted on YouTube at Houston Roundball Review. There are timestamps. You can jump to certain sections if you want to, rather than watch the entire 25 minutes. But part of it, TBT is coming to Houston. Games will be played at Fertitta Center in July. Rob Gray is, I guess, the de facto GM for the Houston team, Forever Cougs. Rob will announce the rest of the roster of alumni, Cougar alumni, within the next few days. But watch the video, watch our conversation between me and Dan Friel. He explains during the chat about the Elam ending, which is one of the unique things about the games in TBT. 64 teams in it. It's single elimination. So if by some surprise the Forever Cougs lost their first game, they'd be done. But TBT's been around since 2014. Dan Friel tells how the idea behind it, how it got started, created, covered a lot of topics in the conversation. Concessions will be available at Fertitta Center. The winning payout, $1 million to the champions. $1 million. But yes, Houston is one of the 8 regional sites. Fertitta Center is one of the 8 regional sites of TBT. Once again, TBT stands for the basketball tournament. Winding it down, women's basketball. Not going to talk about the Hueys too much anymore. But overall, women's basketball net rankings. Longhorns, even after losing last night in Norman to Oklahoma is now Big 12 champs regular season women's hoops with a 15-2 record. Kudos and shout out to Coach Baranchek and her staff. Back-to-back Big 12 titles. But even as Big 12 champions, in the net, Oklahoma is 26. Texas is 4. Kansas State, even though the K-State's lost like 3 or 4 or 4 or 5, 17 in the net. Baylor, 18. West Virginia, 21. Oklahoma, 26. Iowa State, with 2 of the top freshmen in the country, not just the Big 12, 34. Kansas, 40. And pretty much those 7 teams have the best chance of being NCAA tournament teams. TCU is now healthy. 6'7" Sedona Prince is healthy, back from her broken finger on her shooting hand. 3 or 4 games she's been back. Sedona's back, and Madison Connor is back. 2 of their best players, starting 5. They've been back in like 4 games. They're 4-0 since they've returned. Go figure. So they have an outside shot of being an at-large team. They can make some noise in next week's Big 12 championship in Kansas City. Oklahoma State, 55. Texas Tech, 75. Struggling. They're now playing in day 1, most likely. BYU and All-American Lauren Gustin. Lauren Gustin, I think, had against Houston Wednesday night either 17 points and 19 rebounds or 19 points and 17 rebounds. She's a double-double, walking double-double. Almost every game this season, double-double. I want to say it's 28 out of 30. UCF, 89. Cincinnati, 92. Houston, the Hueys, 98. 98. That's not bad. It's dead last in the Big 12, though. And not going to the NCAA tournament. That's bad. For 10 seasons. Again, 10 seasons, Ronnie Huey, 0 trips to the NCAA tournament. This weekend, Big 12 women's hoops. Schedule, Saturday and Sunday, 6 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. TCU at West Virginia, 12 o'clock. All these games except for the Longhorn game against BYU is on LHN, the Longhorn Network, which is winding down. Soon to shut down once Texas officially joins the SEC on, July 1st. And then Sunday, March 3rd, Oklahoma State, Cowgirls in Waco at Baylor. That game will be on ESPN2. But that game, UCF at Houston, 7 o'clock, Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus. I will be there. Yes, I will be there. There will still be Les Red Cougs post-game show for the men's game. Cougs at Oklahoma. There will still be an LRC. I might do it with Andy and Dayon while I'm at Fertitta Center. But I'm going to ask Coach Huey some questions as the season ends. The regular season ends Saturday, senior day for Houston against UCF. Real quick, Rice Owls men's basketball. Well, 2 things. Neither one of them are good. Prairie View men's basketball. February 26th. Monday, February 26th. PV men lost. Thriller, I hope you're still on here watching the show. Prairie View lost at Mississippi Valley State. 57-51. That was Valley's first win this entire season. Prairie View men lost to Valley by 6 on Monday. Valley's first win this entire season. Non-conference SWAC. First win. That's a bad look. Bad look right there for Prairie View. Coach Byron Smith, Houston Cougar alum. PV men 5-10 in SWAC play. This weekend versus Alcorn on Saturday, Jackson State on Monday, and then close out the regular season here in H-Town at HNPE on March 9th at TSU. Oh, I gotta listen to this thing. I gotta check this out. The Valley commentator's reaction was classic. First win of the season over Prairie View. Happened over Prairie View. Oh, my goodness gracious. PV women had a great weekend. They won at Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff is a good team. PV women 7-8. I'm going to jump to it and then wrap it up with Rice. Let's see here. Let's see. TSU women lost to Valley on Saturday. Valley, I think, has 3 wins all season, 3 or 4. 2 of them are over Texas Southern women's team. Valley women's hoops swept the TSU Lady Tigers. The game in Houston, Valley came from behind. We're down double digits, came from behind 1 by 1. Saturday on the 24th, Valley led for most of the game. Oh, so TSU Lady Tigers 4-11. I think only 8 teams qualify for the SWAC championship, so their season could be done. Year 2 of Coach Vernetsky at TSU. Rice men had 2 good wins, 2 really good wins at UAB last week by 23. Hell, UAB scoreless for 9 minutes in that game. And Sunday, I think it was Sunday or Saturday. That's Saturday. Home versus ECU. Rice guard Travis Evie scored 34 points, made like 7 threes. But oh my goodness. Wednesday night, inside to the field house to lose to the other Owls, Temple Owls, 65-43. 65-43 to Temple. Rice shot 15 for 54 from the floor. 1 for 15 from 3. Yeah. And that's a loss. They were playing so well, and then they stubbed their toe big time last night, Wednesday night, at home against the Temple Owls. Wrapping it up. Thank you, everybody, for your questions and comments during this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E. Salute to everyone. Buy you a mug. Click on that shop button if you're watching on the Houston Roundball Review on YouTube. D-Skills. Get you a mug, a hoodie, a cap, t-shirt, etc. It's Leap Day. Take a leap. Support the Houston Roundball Review. Get you some merch. Show with pride. Like Miss Wanda. Miss Wanda was another city and told me someone asked her about the hoodie she was wearing, the Houston Roundball Review hoodie she was wearing. Spread the word. As always, thank you for taking time out of your lunch break to join me here on the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku. I am KG Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Remember this, never forget this. Since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective. I'll take care. Peace.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Thursday, February 29th, 2024. Happy Leap Year Day, everyone. Number 1, congressional leaders struck a deal Wednesday afternoon on some of the appropriations bills funding the federal government, along with a short-term stopgap measure that would extend government funding and prevent a partial shutdown just ahead of a Friday night deadline. The agreement would continue to extend funding to 6 agencies, including the Departments of Housing and Urban Development, Transportation, and Veterans Affairs, with a 1-week delay to March 8th. This will also extend the shutdown deadline of other agencies, including the Department of Justice and Homeland Security, through March 22nd. Number 2, President Biden issued an executive order to safeguard Americans' personal information from exploitation by adversarial nations. The urgency of such protection arises from the potential exploitation of this data by malicious actors, including foreign intelligence services, to track individuals, intrude into their private lives, and facilitate various forms of cyber threats such as scams or blackmail. Number 3. Parents confused about what exactly their young children should be drinking just got help from several large health organizations which have issued a common set of recommendations. Breast milk or formula, plain cow's milk, and water are encouraged. Sweetened drinks, including most plant-based milks, are not. The guidelines say parents should avoid offering all kinds of sweetened drinks, which include not only soda, fruit-flavored drinks, and sweetened waters, but also chocolate milk and the newer category of toddler milks, sometimes called transition or weaning formulas, which are often sweetened. Number 4. A hiker found the body of 29-year-old Trevante Jamal Schubert Helton, who is black, hanging from a tree on a North Georgia trail near High Shoals Falls in the Swallow Creek Wildlife Management Area, February 21st. In a press release, Georgia Bureau of Investigation investigators said that Schubert Helton's death appears to be an isolated incident and that he was by himself at the Wildlife Management Area. Schubert Helton was from Sawtee, Chattahoochee, about 20 miles south of Towns County. Number 5. Since 1976, people nationwide have celebrated the achievement of African Americans during Black History Month. One area that has often been overlooked is the significant contributions Black Americans have made to the field of mental health. The What You Need to Know newsletter has a list of mental health workers who have paved the path for future specialists. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Having purpose sharpens your focus on what's really important in life. All right. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook from the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association. That's right, the CIAA Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament Championships in Baltimore at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Let's go. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.